Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Espresso Outlet YouTube channel. So the past few days we've been doing some videos on the Wendougee Lita. Had quite a few comments and requests to see the internal components. So we're gonna just crack it open today. It's really easy to open. If you've not taken apart many of, we'll say, the Italian machines, they can be a little bit difficult to take the side panels off. And it's really not as bad taking them off as it is putting them back on and making sure that they're all aligned. That's something that I've been very impressed with the Wendougee brand. As you take off the side panels, they kind of just are interlocking with just very few screws. So today we have our Torx screwdriver. It is a T20. So you'll need a T20 Torx bit. And it's really simple. The top has 6 screws and the side panels, I believe, just have 2 per side. So let's just kind of start taking it apart. I'm going to move the camera so that you can see a little bit better. Okay, so I did go ahead and remove the drip tray, the water tank, and the tablet holder, just so that we don't spill any water anywhere. This is a USB-C to USB-C cord that does not come with it. But to get in, there's 6 screws on the top. 2 of them are underneath the holes for the tablet holder. We're going to lift more backwards and just slide it off. Now you will see that there is a cord for our USB-C charger. I would triple check this is an early unit, but in this case there is a small USB-C and you can simply just unplug it like so. So we'll set this off to the side. Next, at least on this early production unit, you can see that we have 1 screw at the back. The front panels are held on with those 2 outer screws. So to remove the side panels, we simply just remove 1 screw on each side. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, they do just have these locking tabs and slide into place. So really an amazing design. When you put this back together, I'm doing it kind of across the way. It's as simple as that's now aligned. If you're doing that with some other brands, it's going to be very difficult to realign these panels. I should have mentioned earlier in the video, make sure that it's unplugged before you start playing around. There are 2 screws that are kind of at the back, a little bit awkward to get to, and that holds the rear panel on. Okay, so to begin with, we're just going to start with the side that I consider, if you're looking straight on, the right side. We're not going to take the group head apart. There's really not a whole lot to show under there. There is a small circuit board. Just really looking at the internal components. So we do have a really nice power supply for our USB-C. It's essentially just a charger for your tablet or your phone. I really like the way that they've done it on this one, as it seems to be quite a bit bigger. We'll show a different angle. This is the display, so you'll see the smiley face and all the information about your brew temperatures. This is the rear of the display. And then here we have our main control board. So that's more or less the main brains of the machine. Now there is a secondary backside of this electronic circuit. If you ever needed to do any work on it, it's really simple to undo a couple of screws and lay this flat. So that's really nice. I do like that, and we'll show a different angle. They have put a protective barrier between the backside, and they put the more sensitive stuff on the outside for a reason. So I really like the way that they did that. We have our on-off switch right here for our main power that goes into a main power distribution block. Then we also have our incoming power, which is a removable plug. Okay, so here's kind of our first look at the boiler. This is a saturated group boiler. So this is the back of the boiler that goes all the way into the group head. So this is 0.35 liters and this entire piece heats up. Our heating elements are on the other side. We'll take a look at that here in a second. We have our temperature probes, and all the fittings you can see are copper and brass fittings. The boiler itself, it's all insulated, which is really nice, and it's all welded stainless steel. You do have a small flow, max flow adjustment knob right there. So if you want a little bit more flow, you can tweak your flow without even taking the lid off. There's a hole in the warming rack. All the valves you can see, I'll do a different angle. They're all NSF rated ODE valves. Really premium stuff that you don't see on a $2,000-ish machine. It's usually on more commercial equipment. Moving on to the back, you can see we have our, it is 0.8 liters steam boiler. So really nice size steam boiler for this size of machine. You can see that it's insulated on all sides with kind of a nice reflective foam, and it's top, bottom, and all around. We have our probes, we have our high-low sensors. Everything you can see is copper and brass on the top. And then moving on to what I consider the left side of the machine when you're looking face on, we have a couple more valves and some of our equipment that helps the machine determine the pressure. So to begin with, we have a couple more valves. Again, they're all ODE, NSF rated, really high quality stuff that you just don't see on machines like this. We have our pressure transducer right here. So that's going to give that real-time feedback to the app. And then up top, we'll show it a little bit better. We have our flow meter. So typically you'll see these on like commercial, like a La Marzocco Linea 2 group or something that has volumetric shots. So you have your flow meter right there. So on the inside of that, it's kind of like a little paddle wheel. And as water goes through the circuit, it spins that wheel and it provides some information back to the computer. Okay, so I did want to show you how the flow meter actually works. I actually grabbed a different machine. I'm doing a video on this Data S, so I don't mind opening this one up. I didn't want to ruin any seals on my Lita. There's essentially a transmitter in the top, and I've removed the screws already. So if we were to take it off, you can see on the inside we have this paddle wheel, and as the water comes in, it makes this wheel spin, and then the water will go back out. And you have little magnets on the top that go into that transmitter. So really what it's doing is it knows how much water is in each one of these veins, and as it spins, that's how it knows the flow going through the machine. Now, I have mentioned on other videos, the other thing that kind of makes these machines tick is like on the Data S, you have a gear pump. Gear pumps are known for their ability to meter water very precisely. And then on the Lita, we have the dual vibratory pumps, and it's able to count the pulsations of the pump. So between the pumps being extremely predictable on how much they are putting through, as well as our flow meter, it's really a win-win. I really don't even use a scale very much, so I think that's a really cool thing that they've added. Next, all the silicone tubing, it's all just waste tubing. So on our drip tray, there's a small collector that sticks underneath the machine, and it all goes into this box. So if you had any sort of like an OPV that pushed some water through, or as it's heating up, some of the residual moisture is all going to drain into a common collector and dump into that drip tray. Then the same angle at the top, we have our steam. So this is where our steam goes in and comes down our wand. We have some overloads, and there's two heating elements for our main brew boiler. I can't really see the elements for your steam boiler, but you do have two elements for your brew boiler right here. And here's this more of a top-down view from the back, just so that you are kind of spatially aware of where everything is. We have our display off to this side, our main electronics, and our charger. We have our steam boiler. You can see all the probes are very easily accessible. Most of this can be accessed through the top without taking all the side panels off. We do have our flow rate controller, our brew boiler temperature probes, and heating elements. So really compact machine. I've been really impressed with how well and thought out the design is. Okay, so now we're at a bit of a crazy angle. You can see that I have it laying on its front. So the group head is against this piece of foam. And the reason I wanted to show you this is I was a little bit concerned when I first took a peek inside of if you ever had to replace one of these pumps, it looked like you'd have to disassemble the whole thing. It looked kind of a lot of work for something that usually does fail anywhere from 4 to 8 years at times. So really depends. I have one that's about 10 years old that I've never replaced. Then I've had some that you replace a little bit more often. So let's just take a quick look at the bottom side. We do have our power switch. We have our removable power plug. We do have our sensor for our water tank. It's just a kind of a button to know when the tank is pushed in. And then we do have a really convenient drain for our steam boiler. So if you're wanting to clean out your machine, do regular maintenance like descaling, it's really easy just to take that out with the Allen key. Now, I'm not going to go too crazy pulling these pumps out. Really, to completely remove them, you'd have to take off some of these tubes. You might need something like some needle nose. I'm just not going to do that. But if you're ever in the situation where you do need to do some repairs, it's really quite simple. There's 4 screws on the bottom. Sorry for the angle. And we have our plate that holds our pump. So this is really going to be convenient for if you ever needed to replace a pump. Again, really what's holding it in is this top line and then the bottom line that goes to your connector. I don't really want to undo them for this video, but you can see it just took a matter of a couple minutes to get to the pumps. Might be a little bit awkward to replace, but I think you could get it done in probably 15 minutes if you ever needed to. And these pumps are, I'm not real sure on the pronunciation, Gemek, and they are NSF rated pumps, so really high quality pumps in this machine. Just to answer some final things, some items that I really like on this machine's build is they pretty much standardize to one main screw type. It's that T20 Torx. There are a couple of smaller, and I believe a couple of T25 on the bottom. You should never really need to use those to get into to service your machine. Now, the body panels, some people were a little bit concerned because it wasn't glossy like the Data. They are all a really high quality cast aluminum. You can see some of the aluminum where the powder coating isn't there. Really nice high quality cast aluminum all over. Now, reassembling this thing is really easy. Probably the most difficult is trying to reach your screwdriver through this area and aligning your screws for those. So, and that's really not even that difficult. It just might take you a second to make sure that they're upright and you get them screwed in straight. So, putting it back together, all the panels pretty much interlock, which I find just an amazing thing if you need to do any service on this machine. So I think that's pretty much all for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing the insides of the Wendougee Lita. I always ask you to subscribe and come back. If you got any questions about this machine or any of our other products, you can always shoot us an email at sales@espressoalloy.com, or you can leave us a comment below. But for today, thanks for tuning in.